This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning everyone, and welcome to another stunning African sunrise all the way from Djuma Private Game Reserve. We have stopped this morning to admire the sun coming out, that big ball of fire that brings life to our planet, and although it was looking very big on the screen, it's still just a bit of a blinding dot in the horizon. My name is Ali, and on camera with me today is Darren. And we are taking advantage of what feels like a very chilly morning, very chilly but very clear morning, to just come and go out and look for all of our favorite animals. If you have any questions or comments, please remember you can send them through using the hashtag WildEarth on Twitter, or tagging @FC on the YouTube chat, or subscribing to the WildEarth channel. If you are under 18 and watching on the YouTube chat, please remember to send your questions on the email kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. Seems like the possibilities are endless this morning. We had a couple of leopards that were found yesterday in just different areas of the property. And so we're going to slowly make our way down towards the southern parts of the reserve, see if maybe the lions have come back, and also go look maybe for Shasha, the young male leopard, who's fastly becoming one of my favorite because he is just incredibly beautiful. Has a swagger of young male leopards. And I think that's probably what our plans are going to be. We had Tavangumi yesterday, and then Kara was apparently found late in the evening. So if we don't come right with those guys there in the south, then we can always try and go north and see what else we can find around there. For now, we're going to leave the sunrise and we're going to start heading that way. Ooh, see what there is down there without breaking windy. It's very squeaky today. I think the cold is getting to her joints. So we shall see what we find during the morning. Seems like there was a lot of excitement yesterday by the dam cam, and if you watch the dam cam, you would know what I'm talking about. And it's amazing how sometimes just a glimpse into the life of animals, when they don't know that they're being watched, what it produces. Let's see what's up there. Strangely, no impala on quarantine this morning. I don't know if it's a little too cold and then they've all started moving, started their day early. Safari Kitty, you're saying it was an impressive view yesterday at the dam cam. Yes, it was. So if you're wondering what happened, our clan of hyena, the Djuma clan, apparently made another kill, another live kill, just that you could see from the dam cam. They seem to have killed an antelope. Oh, what is happening? Don't know what's happening on the radio. Sorry, it's this time of the day where everybody gets mobile and announces where they're going and what they're looking for. So it's a big coordination project almost between all the guides, seeing who goes where and who's looking for what, so that we don't all rush to the same area. Or if we are looking for the same thing, that you say it and then we work together. Much easier than just bumping into a bunch of people randomly. All right, we're gonna carry on down this road, but in the meantime, let's have a look at what the weather is gonna be doing today.
Good morning, everyone. What a beautiful morning. Everything's so calm here at Djuma Dam. Whereas last night it was the scene of the crime. I believe Alan has already told you some of the story. But welcome, my name's John T. We've got Morgan on the camera, and we are going to be exploring Djuma this morning. There are lions roaring currently, which I want to go and follow up on while they're roaring. But yeah, if you didn't see it, go onto YouTube and watch the dam cam footage of the hyena hunt last night. It was insane. Hyena ran into the water to fetch the impala. It looked like the hyena was actually swimming at one stage. Really interesting stuff. I'm just going to talk on the radio. Good morning, no updates yet. Just had audio of lions west of Djuma Dam, maybe in the direction of Sydney's. I'm keen to follow up there. There we go, we just got a very long update there. Someone else is going to go look for lions. Well, in the video, it certainly looks like they were quite proficient, but often they spend time in and around waterholes. I have seen hyenas frolicking in water. It really looks like they enjoy being in it, swimming and dunking their heads under the water. Those lions are again, they're roaring quite frequently. I think I'm actually going to start diving. I don't know, it's just that roaring's been very frequent. Let's go and see what's happening.
Open area there to your west.
While we loop around, you're going to head over to say good morning to JP. Wonder if we should just...
Good morning and welcome to WildEarth. We're live at Eco Training Pridelands and about to start our bushwalk. At the moment, we're just soaking up that beautiful sunrise, and we're going to provide you with an opportunity to do so as well. So my name is JP LaRue, and behind the camera we've got Craig. Our plans for the morning is to walk these ridges, and then from there on make our way down to one of the dams a little bit later to see if anybody has popped in for a drink. At the moment, I'm just going to be dead quiet so you can enjoy the sounds of nature. While we enjoy our sunrise, we're going to send you off to go and see what the others are up to.
Well, unexpected surprise this morning. If you can see the road ahead of you, that it's littered with all sorts of things and tracks, and just doesn't even look like a road anymore. We've had a big herd of buffalo that's come through overnight, and they've just been walking down all these roads. So I'm just following the tracks of the herd to see where they've gone and to see just how big this buffalo herd is. Because we've had some really good sightings of big buffalo herds. Just gonna roaring. Area, but the suspicious lions coming back closer to us isn't because of these guys that seem to have been walking.
Good morning and welcome everybody to your African wildlife safari. My name is Dyke Koza and Johan on the camera behind me. As you can see, this looks like a really beautiful morning. As you can see the sun shining through these trees. Let's hope to have a really good day this morning. You can see the sun shining beautifully in these trees. If you look at that beautiful shambok pod tree, as you can see the remainings of the pod shells hanging on the tree. The resin in the tree is called a shambok pod, and it's started to flower a little bit. That shows we coming into spring now, which we're gonna see lots of trees flowering. And the bush is going to change a little bit, of which the last couple of weeks it was a bit gray, and most of the trees have already started getting new leaves. And the plan for this morning, we're just going to bumble around and see what we can find. It will be really nice to drive those roads that we've driven yesterday and double check if there's any fresh signs of lions or leopards that we can look up to. If you look at the base of that shambok pod tree, there's possibly insects that are feeding off the nectar from the flowers. Some of them might be falling off onto the ground, so that starling was definitely picking up some insects. Unfortunately, flew off just now. Yeah, we're just gonna check some of the roads that we drove yesterday and see if we can find any fresh lion tracks, because this is a very good morning. If we happen to come across any tracks on the road, we'll definitely know that these tracks may have come out on top of our vehicle tracks, because we've driven almost each and every single road, circling the block where we last saw those lions, and we didn't come across any tracks that tells us these lions may be still in the block somewhere unless they're feeding off something. Otherwise, it's been a while. These lions have never showed up. At some stage, they might come out and we go look for water. We're going to check maybe a couple of water holes as well in that area and see if we can find tracks of them, maybe one or two that came over to drink for water. So these water holes will be a very good places to check, because after when these animals have eaten, they might want to go and drink, even though they don't have to like every day, because they will get the moisture from the blood of whatever they've killed in one of those blocks. And we're hoping for some vultures, because yesterday morning it was a bit overcast, so it was difficult for vultures to catch some and go up in the sky. But today it looks like a beautiful day and clear sky, so it will be enough thermal for the vultures to go high up in the sky. So while we're driving and hoping to find fresh tracks, we're just gonna keep an eye for vultures leaving their nest along the dry riverbed that's gonna be onto our left. So there's lots of nesting sites of white-backed vultures along these big trees that you can see there. And yeah, so as soon as it starts warming up properly, and then these vultures will take off to go and try look for food. So yeah, we're just gonna carry on and hope to find some fresh signs of these lions that we were looking for yesterday.
While the African bush is desperate for rain, spring is certainly in the air. Fresh green leaves are sprouting, flowers are adding color to the landscape, and many animals are preparing for the birth of their young. At the moment, large concentrations of wildlife can be found at waterholes, which are the lifeline for the animals. But soon the rains will arrive, and the bush will transform overnight. Seasonal rivers will start to flow, the bush will be filled with baby animals, and it will become a time of plenty. Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer and join Ali and Jonty for a special Spring Has Sprung fireside chat on the 12th of September, straight after the Sunset Safari. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
So we managed to get very lucky. We heard, these are the lions that we heard calling. And we sort of came rushing along the boundary. We actually spotted an impala as what gave them away. And then Morgan pulled out a great spot. But it looks like some of these lions have actually got a bit of blood on them. The male that's in the shot there on his side of his cheek, he looks like he's got a bit of blood there. They do look very cool in this morning light. So I hope they're going to come into Djuma. I must say, I'm not entirely sure who these are. There's 8 that we can see. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's another one. I might try to take a photo of this. What I'd really like is for them to roar again. These lions, you're going to head over to JP.
Welcome back on Bushwalk. At the moment we're admiring a beautiful community web spider. And it's absolutely stunning in the early morning light and how the light is reflecting off it at the moment. So these spiders are actually social spiders, unlike most spiders which lives solitary and only meets up for mating. There's a few hundred of them that can actually live in these little nests. And what I also find quite fascinating about them is that they'll collectively work together for a greater goal within that little nest. And we also find that when they do have prey that gets stuck into the web, that they will only send out enough spiders to go and grab that little prey item and then bring in the spoils back into the inside of a nest to share amongst one another. So a few things that I find particularly interesting about silk. It's incredibly strong, and they reckon that it's 8 times stronger than steel of the same equivalent. It's also much stronger, and it can also be used for making, and is also as strong as Kevlar is, if not stronger. It's also been considered to commercially use it in the making of bulletproof jackets. However, that tends to be a little bit tricky, as that you need to have large masses of silk. I also quite often find it interesting that many spider species will actually re-eat their silk after they've spun a web, so that this unnecessary protein does not get wasted, and they recycle that and reuse it again in the production of making new silk again. So when it comes to the production of silk, we find that the more advanced spiders are the ones that makes very elaborate webs and nests with that. But when it comes to the less advanced spiders, they tend to not produce any form of webbing itself. One of the other spiders I like in the area, which hopefully will be coming back very soon once we've had sufficient rain and the temperatures start increasing, is one that's known as a tropical tent spider. And then both the garden and golden orb-web spiders will hopefully be coming back in the next month or two. Well, we're going to move off and go and see what else we can go and find.
My name is Nomfundo Ndlovu, and I'm the Senior Project Manager for the WildEarth Schools and Youth Unit. I'm a qualified horticulturalist. I'm particularly passionate about supporting schools towards working through their sustainability journey and towards food sovereignty through our food gardening projects. A typical day in my work involves me overseeing our national projects and creating an enabling environment for schools to thrive and succeed in working towards self-reliance and sustainability, and really ensuring that no school gets left behind.
Being nominated to the top 5 and finally being here, for me it's an achievement. Tracks, I believe I did quite well, and the walk, and sometimes you often drag their feet forward. The storytelling as well, so yeah, I think that's where I see my strongest point. And then That was the opportunity of the scraping. I say the bedding and the call, definitely for me. It was quite a big challenge. Guiding is not all about the award that we have had, but in sharing the experience and continue to do what we have passion and love.
Something very, very interesting. I didn't plan this, but this is a scene rarely seen. This is what we call a journey of giraffe. So beautiful.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
We are about to experience a lion walk by. Oh, my head. Yeah, there's one sharpening it, just playing with that branch there. So they've all got up, they're walking behind us. The way these lions are looking, I think we must definitely stay with them as long as we can. They're very playful. Lainey, I'm not sure. I don't know if they've ever have come into contact with each other. I mean, you know, the vocalizing and that they do, scent marking, those are the sort of things they do to try and avoid bumping into each other. But I'm not too sure. I've never seen them. Oh, the male on the road is posing very nicely now. Oh, bit of a stretch. Whoa. That one was right behind you there, Morgan. So I'm actually going to go forwards. Yeah, Safari Kitty is very cool. I just see that male, the last one who walked past us, he's actually got a bit of a wound on his tail. Well, he'll hopefully follow. Let's we will loop around. They've gone onto the fire break, but what's epic is they're walking into the morning sun. So the light on them is very, very cool. So we're just going to loop around. Won't take us too long. Oh, but we are so thankful for that impala. It's just one impala staring off here, and it gave one little snort, and that's all Morgan needed to switch on his sharp vision. Whoa. So there is another vehicle that's joined us now, so I'm just trying to... Those ones are chasing each other at the back there. I'm just trying to get us in a spot. While we sit here with these lions, you're going to head over to Dyke, who's found an elephant. Oh, look at that.
Look, we just found this Africa's largest land mammal here, the elephant, which is grazing peacefully there. And this is a female elephant, of which there's definitely more animals in the area that I can hear, because normally female elephants are always in a herd, of which there will be small family groups that group together and form one large herd. As you can see, slowly disappearing into that quarry bush there. That shows how well these animals can blend in. Yeah, as we're driving down this road, they might be heading towards the small waterhole that I'm planning to get to. What we're gonna do, we're not gonna spend much time with these elephants here. I'm hoping to get to that small waterhole before they get there, because once they get there before us, then we won't be able to look around that waterhole and see if we can find any signs of these lion tracks that we're trying to pick up, so we can follow up on them and try see if we can find the lions. Yeah, as I said, there's possibly more animals in the area. Can pick up movement. I don't know if you'll be able to pick up that movement from the back of that bush there, but there's definitely another elephant that's feeding on the other side of this guarri bush. So let's not waste time here with these elephants, because this is not like the best viewing of this animal. We're just gonna carry on down and see if we can get to that waterhole before these animals get there, and see if we can find the lion tracks and follow up on that. Yeah, there's possibly more animals ahead.
Seems like my comms are not working properly, because I almost feel like I'm Trishala down in the ocean. I can't really hear much of what's going on. Whoop. Let's just try to, maybe with the volume, maybe we'll get lucky with that. Seems like it's an intense morning today. So the buffalo tracks that we are looking for head roughly towards the direction where the lions and Jonty are. So it's always fascinating how big prides of lions know, and they come and move with all of the buffalo. Not sure.
Well, are you calling me? Roger, the permission sign here, Hartley. Where are you guys? The distance looks like comes straight to the east. We just
Okay, let's see. Seems like there's a morning of plenty today. So there were reports of wild dogs crossing onto this area and then carrying on towards the west. So we just want to check around just in case there's something here. We haven't seen wild dogs in quite a long time. So it would be pretty great if we got to see them or at least spend some time with them. So I just want to go on this road because I've seen them cross on here a few times, and their general direction was west, meaning that they would have gone towards the Mambili. But unfortunately the radio, I cannot use it from here to there. Ironically, it's a little too far away to pick up the comms with other people, so we're just gonna scratch around the area, and once perhaps we get a little bit closer to the boundary, we'll get a hold of them and find out if maybe they've had tracks or they've picked up on anything their side. What is happening here? There's a lot of radio chatter this morning. I think everyone's quite excited to see the lions again. What is that? Thought I saw like a leopard lying down, but I'm making it up.
Let me just duck out of the way. We are having a proper lion walk by. So that one that was just looking close to us, he's the one who's got the bite on his tail. Right through his, looks like his gentleman's area. Oh, the lioness with the tip of her tail missing is very playful. She keeps sort of running and pouncing on the others. Morgan and I were just saying how, you know, lions can be so useless when they're just lying down for hours, but when they're on the move like this, it is absolute gold. I'd love to know what they caught. I don't think it was a big thing, because not all of them look like they had a full feed. And there's one more male who's now got up. He's sort of following them at the back. Morgan thinks he saw a big male. I'm sure he will follow if he is with them.
That's what I first saw from that Impala.
Would have thought the sun was bright enough, it didn't need a flash. Okay, I'm gonna try. We're gonna just try reposition again. Luckily we're on a road here, so I'm just gonna turn around. Fiona, the most recent one that I saw was actually a failed attempt of some lions on a buffalo. It was very, very cool sighting. It was just before I got back to Djuma. It happened, I was doing some guiding at Mala Mala, and look at this lion, it's being a bit of a Zoidberger. He literally just ran and cut us off. Yeah, it was lions. They sort of trailed a buffalo from the evening, the whole night. We caught up with them again in the morning, and they managed to get on one of the buffalo. Once the whole herd came, chased the lions off, and they kept following them, and they got on again, and I thought they were going to be successful, but the herd came running in again and actually just tossed the one lion right off, and then the lions sort of gave up. That was the last attempt I saw live. That video, I did post it on my Instagram page if you want to go and see it. It's not going to win any National Geographic awards, but you can see what happened if you want to go watch that. If we're lucky, they might go down the road towards Djuma Dam. So you might see there are other vehicles driving around. We'll just try to stay with these lions. Like I said, when they're moving like this, there's always a chance. You'll see some of them are obviously still playing around and chasing each other, but they still be listening, and if they hear something or see something, it might trigger them. So glad they decided to do that. We're on a very steep hill here. What's the one you see on the left? It looks like it's going to pounce on its sibling. And one of the guests breaking the no standing rule. Beautiful. Okay, let me go forward. Okay, I'm just going to loop around. Actually, I'm just going to go onto their boundary. They've stayed, some of them I thought they were going to walk down the road, but they've stayed on the fire break. Daniel, the grass, so the color changes for us. You know, we see this flush of green grass. But the prey, they sort of see in a, it's almost similar to a black and white is the color that they see in. So the lions still blend in perfectly with green grass or brown grass. It's just for our eyes, when it's the grass is this color, it seems even more unfair. But it's really interesting if you watch. There's a documentary called I think it's called Life in Color with David Attenborough, and they show how predator and prey's eyes are adapted and how they see the world, and it's actually quite frightening. So I can still see some of the lions quite far in the front. I want to try and get to the front lions in the hope that we'll get that really cool images of them walking towards us. Let's go through here. Okay, so in a few short moments we should have a lion on the screen walking straight towards us. Yo, this one at the front almost looks like he's going to lie down. Don't cut across, you cheeky kids. We want them to walk straight towards us. Oh, that one on the road, the one with no tip is chasing. I'm just going to roll down the hill a little bit. Oh, no I'm not. While we reposition, you're going to head over to Dyke, who's doing a bit of birding. Oh, I'd love one to jump on this tree.
Yeah, we just come across this beautiful bird of prey that's sitting up at the very top of that jackalberry tree there. I presume if you look slightly to the right of that eagle, there must be a nest there. This is a Wahlberg's eagle. If you look at the back of his head, he's got this little tuft of hair. That's how you can tell when this eagle is in a distance, but he's definitely calling there, possibly calling for the mate, because this is one of the birds of prey of which it's very exciting when this time of a year arrive, because there's lots and lots of birds of immigrants that we're expecting to see. So this is one of those that just arrived like towards the end of August, beginning of September. And then they'll be around here until maybe April, May, and they'll fly to Central Africa. But they're definitely nesting around this area. The way it's calling looks like the mate having arrived, possibly still on the way, maybe just left the tree and going to look for food, maybe material to renovate the nest, because these birds of prey will come back exactly to the same spot and renovate the same nest and reuse it again. How they know, it's really, really incredible. Like they know to come back exactly more or less at the same time of the year and find the same nest while it's still there, and they'll try renovate those nests. So yeah, sometimes they have to build a new nest because you never know, these trees get broken or pushed down by elephants. I know one pair that's been coming back for almost 10-12 years for the same nest, but unfortunately 2 years ago they had lost that nest because the elephants have knocked over that knobthorn tree, and they have to build another nest on a different tree. So yeah, it's really beautiful to see one of these birds that just arrived not long ago, and we'll see how long they last and if they nest and have chicks that will watch growing up. So yeah, we're just gonna carry on down and search for those lions and see if we can have luck finding the lions this morning. Let's hope for some luck. We're just gonna carry on. Yeah, so am I, because when it comes to this time of the year, I always get excited. Like each of us, it's really excited who's gonna see one first. And then here we go. But there have been seen or spotted recently, quite a few of them that are here, but we're still expecting lots and lots of other birds of immigrants to arrive in the area, which we look out for those when we drive past every single tree. We'll try see if we can pick up anything. Any bird that flies past, we just look carefully and see if it's one of those, because there's lots of different birds that come from all around the year and then from everywhere in the world. The bee-eaters, European bee-eaters, common bee-eaters, which are very beautiful. So I'm really excited to see those coming back here. So we're just gonna check the riverbed for some fresh signs of lions, otherwise go up to the top and see if we can find anything. Hoping to find the lions this morning.
Hi, we are Yaku and Milani. We are from Gauteng in South Africa. We started watching WildEarth last year during the level 5 lockdown, and we've been watching ever since.
Being in nature is one of the greatest feelings. We absolutely love it. Our favorite thing about WildEarth is that the concept is so amazing. We have the benefit of having a wildlife safari in the comfort of your home, especially when you're not allowed to go out. Being part of the Wildlife Explorer program gives us a sense of giving back and contributing to nature. It just makes us feel good because we love it so much. We are so excited to be visiting Angoma. It is obviously, I think for most people, an absolute dream to visit the Masai Mara. We can't wait to go.
Thank you very much for this amazing prize, WildEarth.
WildEarth Explorers. It's in your nature.
We got there, he had probably moved a couple of 100 meters down the river and was about 10 meters from this causeway. So I radioed the lodge quickly and just asked them to bring a land cruiser around and some tow straps. So we thought we were going to try be heroes and save this giraffe. And now a big bull, probably over a ton, he's a big unit. Got the tow strap one side of the giraffe and managed to get it around him with the boat, and the other edge of the tow strap obviously back onto the bank. So we made this U around him because he was lying quite close to the bank. And yeah, we put that land cruiser in low range and we just gave it hell and pulled that giraffe, and the tow strap slipped up and we thought, oh no, it's going to slip off the top of it, and it caught on his ossicles at the top. And that last 10 meters pulled him out onto the bank, and he battled. He was obviously quite weak and all that.
This is a battle of two great carnivores of the African wilderness. Whew. Whoa! You don't want to be under those jaws. Definitely, this round goes to the lion. Look at that. Fantastic.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth. Day.
Welcome back, everybody. We're just doing another loop around. We're hoping. I saw some had started to lie down, but some were still walking. So we've done a bit of a bigger loop so that we can watch them for longer coming towards us. I'm just trying to find a good gap. Whoa! I've picked such a legendary route through here. Cheapest. So this could pay off big time, and we could enjoy quite a long section of lions walking towards us, or they're going to lie down. Can you see from a bit higher there? Are they? The lions. I've got a feeling we might have been stitched up here. Oh, there's one. I can see one lion. Oh, they're going through to the main road. Let me just go back across where we've just come from. This is going to look pretty cool, I think. Oh, love that. Just took a log to the leg. Yeah, look at that through there. That is cool, eh? I know there's some trees and stuff in the way, but it's still pretty good.
Like going back to the road.
One going to pop out behind this marula tree. Hey, it's amazing, but what's got that bird, that lion's attention was a bird. It was a African harrier hawk. Just went flying past, and that's what made the lion turn like that. Sonia, you do sometimes see some prides are a lot more calculated than others. Some, oh, this one might go on this termite mound next to us here. Yeah, some seem to go at it sort of quite recklessly, whereas others seem quite a lot more calculated. There was a really good documentary that was filmed in Botswana that followed two different prides, and it was exactly that. The one pride, they used to get insane footage because the lions would just run in and sort of just go for broke, and would get in these crazy situations, getting tossed in the air by buffaloes, and then the other pride was a lot more calculated and was a lot more prosperous. And even within a pride, you'll see different individuals. It'll often be the same one that instigates the hunt, or might be slightly better. Or I'm debating if I should reverse. So that we're kind of looking towards them. It's interesting to see how that one who climbed the termite mound behind the other female, whenever they go up slowly, lower their ears, because they kind of don't want to give away themselves. But it's interesting, some are clearly starting to want to lie down, and others want to move a little bit. I'm just going to reverse back because we might get something good if
Welcome back on Bushwalk. We just made our way back to Leopard Dam after we heard a number of baboon calls in the distance. And then early this morning we also noted a group of hyenas that was running out here. One of those hyenas were actually lying up in the mud. And the only telltale signs that we can find of something that was being killed is very small intestines of some little small mammal. So maybe suspected it might be something like a scrub hare that might have been killed. But we also had some vivid monkeys in the trees over here when we arrived here. And if there was any other predators, they would have also given away the presence of that predator. So monkeys, as well as baboons, are very, very effective in telling us what is going on in our environment. We're just going to move on and see if we can find any signs of what those hyenas were up to. One of the things that I did find particularly interesting is that the one hyena actually was lying up in the mud, and so early in the morning while it's still cool. Normally it's a behavior that I normally see when it's much warmer. Here's one of our tracks of our hyena. Good morning, Annie, and welcome to the show. There is a number of den sites on the property, and they tend to move quite big distances to and from waterholes and towards those dens. One den site, I think they reckon that there's between 17 and 20 individuals that belong to that specific clan. So here's our track of our hyena right over here, and we can see two little lobes at the back and those kidney-shaped toes and the nails that mark on the track, which is some of the characteristic features which separates it from cats. It has 3 lobes as well as does not show nails. However, we have mentioned in the past, cheetah is an exception to the cat species, and they don't. And there's the only cat that does show a nail in the track. Just going to move on over here, and I want to actually go and investigate what's happened there in that muddy patch in the center. I've also started wondering if this hyena might not have actually chased something up into the water and consumed it there. You can actually see her tracks coming out over here, and there's that fresh mud that's been dropped off her body as that she came up here. And then here we go. As we mentioned earlier, the only remains of a potential kill that we could find is the intestines of a small little mammal that's lying over here. I'm still wonder what it could have been. Only thing I can think of in terms of size of this might be actually a scrub hare. Well, we're going to continue and see what else we can go and find. But in the meanwhile, we're going to send you over to one of our promo clips for the Pinder prize. So if you go and register with WildEarth Explorers, you stand a chance to win a wonderful free night prize. I wouldn't have mind going, but best of luck for whoever wins it.
Calling all WildEarth Explorers. We have a new and frankly awesome travel prize for you to win. And Beyond Pinder Private Game Reserve encompasses an impressive 28,000 hectares of protected wildlife land in KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. As you have seen on WildEarth, and Beyond Pinder showcases one of the continent's finest game viewing experiences and is well known for close-up sightings of the elegant yet elusive cheetah as well as the rare black rhino. Sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer before the 16th of September, and you and a friend could be heading to the magnificent Pinder Mountain Lodge, where you will spend 3 nights escaping the real world at this ultimate safari location. Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature.
Yeah, we just found some fresh land tracks on the road. What we're gonna do, we're just gonna focus on finding this land, so we're not gonna do much at the moment. All we're gonna do is try to find these lands because these tracks are very fresh as we're turning around here. Yeah. Could see one line moving through the bushes there. We're just gonna try and move in, see if we can have a better view of these animals. Yeah, finally we've been looking for these animals for almost 3 days, Justin. So I'm so happy to have found them. We're just moving in and see if we can, excuse me, have a better view of them because they're moving through this little dense vegetation here. So we'll see how many they are as soon as we have a better visual of them. It's really nice to know that they're still around. Like they've been in these blocks for quite some time, and we'll also be able to tell whether the animals have eaten or not. But it looks like just a split from the Birmingham Pride. I see some young ones as well, and 2 big lionesses there. So I'm just gonna cycle around. I'm trying to cycle around and see if we can watch them from the front walking past us. Can find a gap to go through here. Are we good here? Yes. Always difficult when there's another vehicle. Yeah, they seems to be walking towards us, so I'm just gonna stop here and see if we can watch them walking past. Oh, the Birminghams have been in Ngala since 2006, of which that's how long these animals have been in this reserve until today. So these cubs that we're looking at now, that were born in this reserve. You can see it's still early in the morning. Young ones are still full of energy, just playing around. So this is just a split from the pride, of which they may have splitted for the last couple of days. They don't look like they've eaten. They may be trying to find the rest of the pride. Just gonna start the vehicle and try follow them and see where they go. They might lead us to the rest of the pride. Yeah, I mean, you should be fine if you circle around from my right-hand side. This is beautiful because you unfortunately, they don't look like they've eaten. I was hoping to find them at the carcass. As you can see, they're still moving, and then still cool enough for these animals to be moving. We're just gonna follow them and see where they lead us to, because this is not the whole pride. I'm hoping they're taking us to the rest of the pride. It will be really nice to see these animals rejoin and reunite, because we haven't seen the whole pride all together. So let's try and follow these animals and see where they're gonna take us to, which is really nice to see the cubs are still here, because sometimes you don't know what happened to them if you don't see them for a number of days. So I'm so happy after looking and try to see if we can find these animals for the last 2 days, and finally, even though we didn't find the whole pride, but it's always good to know there's still some of them that are still here that we can see. Let's hope they taking us to where the rest of the pride with the white ones are, so we'll get to see the white ones, because I haven't seen the young white female for a couple of days. So it will be really nice, as you can hear, that spare fowl just been spooked by possibly them, because that's what you listen for when you're looking for these animals. Alarm calls from these bays and different animals that will be telling you where to go and look if you're tracking them down through this dense vegetation, and then you just listen for alarm calls as well as signs that you can look for, and that might make it a little bit easier for you to track and find these animals. So we just gonna keep following them.
Welcome back to Bushwalk. We stuck to solving our mystery, and eventually we got to our little riddle. And we looked at the number of different tracks and what the hyenas were doing. So we followed the tracks back to where they came out. And we actually found where they actually have stashed or killed a young buffalo calf last night. And this is where it's sticking out of the water. Hyenas are actually quite well known for stashing carcasses in mud or in water so that other predators can't see or smell it. But occasionally it does become a meal for a crocodile in that case. Quite often when it does come to hyenas, it's considered that they always scavenge, which is actually not true. We actually in recent years have actually discovered that more often it's actually the lions that also steal from hyenas as well. We generally consider that lions within Kruger National Park more often gets their carcasses taken away from hyenas compared to East Africa, where it works the other way around. So most likely what these hyenas have done, they saw an opportunity in terms of a young animal that was either distressed or ill or already injured, and singled it out from a group, made the kill, and then came to stash it over here. And they'll most likely come back a little bit later in the day to come and feed on the remains of his carcass. Good morning, Wesley, and welcome to the show. And with regards to your comment of the stashing, it's not often that I've actually seen it. It's probably only the 5th time that I've seen where they've actually stashed the carcass away like this. Generally, they feed fairly quickly, and because they also quite often scavenge from other predators, they end up getting the remains of the kill. One of the things that also really fascinates me about hyenas and about most of the larger predators is how they can actually differentiate between an absolutely normally healthy animal and an animal that has got the slightest of disability or sickness at that point. And for us, we can't discern that when we're in the field by looking at those animals. But how they know that, that still stays an amazing puzzle for me. It would actually be pretty cool to actually put a remote camera up here and leave it here for the day and see what happens throughout the rest of the morning. Well, we're going to move on and go and see what else we can go and find for the morning. But in the meanwhile, let's go and see what Dyke is up to.
Yeah, we slowly losing these animals because they're going into a very dense vegetation, and it looks like there's a drainage line where they're going. They might go into the drainage line. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna circle around onto the other side of this drainage line here and hope to find them again on the other side. So let's hope we don't lose them forever. But I'm sure we'll find them on the other side. So that's what we're gonna do for now. As you can see, it's a bit difficult to drive through here. So let's hope by the time we get there, they'll be crossing onto the other side. So that's what I'm doing, circling around, see if we can have any luck and follow them and see where they take us to. I'm just moving out of this block and try see if I can catch them up from the other side. We don't have them now. They've gone just into the drainage line that I'm gonna cross onto the other side because they're moving quite steadily. As you notice there, it's not all the pride. There's one lioness that looks injured because they had a fight with other lions the other day. So she's got a cut. I'm so glad to see she's still around because I was on leave when that happened. And someone said she looked like she was breathing through that cut because it's exactly on her throat, and I'm hoping she recovers very well. So this is a direction where they're gonna cross onto if they happen to cross. I'm hoping they'll cross and come up on this side of the drainage line. Definitely, Martin, they are. Like the cubs are always like that, more especially this time of the day because they're full of energy. They'll be playing around. That's the reason when you find these animals about this time of the day, you'll find when they're with the male lions will be lying a bit of a distance away from the rest of the pride because the cubs are so playful that they'll climb over them and they want to rest because they've been moving through the night. So male lions will choose to go lie a distance away from the pride, and they really look in a really good condition. So that shows this Birmingham pride, the lionesses are very good hunters. I'm hoping they cross somewhere here because they were heading somewhere in this direction, like where we are, when I last saw them from the other side. But it doesn't look like they crossed here, so I'm just gonna hope that they come. Oh, there they are. They're about to cross from behind us here. Wow. We got them, yes. That's very nice. Here are the cubs. Okay. How far is Amy behind me? You can see they just keep moving, trying to find the rest of the pride. It's amazing how these animals can find each other after losing each other by scent, maybe calling. That's the reason you hear these animals roar at night. This is like contact call, trying to find the rest of the pride members, but easily they can follow each other by scent. So that could be what they're doing, trying to catch up with the rest of the pride. But you can see the cubs are not worried about that. It's just the lionesses that are leading the way. The cubs are just having fun, playing around, which is very cute and beautiful to watch them out in the open playing like that, because normally if you catch up with these animals in the day, they'll be lying down resting, but soon, because it's starting to get a bit warm, they might burn off the energy. Once the lionesses decide to find a place to lie down, they're all gonna lie down for the day, wait for the sun to go down, and then start again to try and follow up, catch up with the rest of the pride. Let's hope by tomorrow these animals are all gonna be together and we might get to see all of them together, maybe at the carcass feeding off something, which will be really nice because they definitely having eaten, so they might hunt tonight. Yeah, so as you can see, they're disappearing through the bush. It's just the one cub that's lying there and the other one looking in the direction where they came from. As soon as these two cubs get up and move, we're just gonna follow up on them, keep following and see where they're heading exactly.
The scrap here collected a dry grass, put it next to the waterhole as the hippo walks down during the warm of the day to drink the water. When the hippo arrives, he saw quite a very nice grass, an area not to resist to rest. And when the hippo went down to drink the water, and when finished the water, he just lied down on the grass. And then, that was the opportunity of the scrappy. You know what? Today is my day to pay the revenge.
Looks like it's a very difficult climb because every time it tries to climb, the ground is breaking, so it slides down. But it's the only one. Look at that. That is the call of desperation with the cub. It's like, what are you doing, mommy? Oops! Oof!
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth Daily.
Yeah, look who we found. Hello, guys. Have you seen any lions around here? Okay, that's good. Oh, really? It's a little bit scary then. We're gonna go to Buffelshoek Dam, see if there's anything around there. Alrighty. See you guys later. Oh, look, there's something in the middle of the road down there. Might be something like a kudu. Or a zebra, maybe? Potentially more a kudu than a zebra. So down, following the road, we've got a kudu down there.
Just right on the southern side of the western side of
Look at all the mongoose coming into the tide.
Welcome back on Bushwalk. We're just looking at a brown-hooded kingfisher at the moment. It seems like a female. She's got a slightly duller brown back compared to the male, but has a much darker brown back. So a few of the features that we can look at when we do look at them is a dark brown cap, hence the name brown-hooded kingfisher, and then all red bull. I quite often get confused of striped kingfishers, which has got a black and red coloration onto the bull. That's also one of our two resident kingfisher species, which we tend to find over here at the dam. The other being the pied kingfisher, which was also sitting close by to the brown-hooded a little bit earlier. So they differ slightly in the ways that they actually hunt. The pied kingfisher is generally considered to be a water-associated kingfisher and only hunts over water for fish and tadpoles, as well as frogs, which we've lately seen has formed quite a big part of his diet at this dam. The brown-hooded kingfisher, on the other hand, tends to go more often for insects. Occasionally we'll actually see them plunging onto the water surface, either to pick up an insect or just to plunge bathe, but generally they hunt away from water. I also suspect that it's actually the brown-hooded kingfisher nest that we saw on the side of a bank. And it looked like a few weeks ago they're actually looking for a new nest hole as well to start nesting in. So the brown-hooded kingfisher is also one of our resident species of kingfisher, which occurs here throughout the year. Good morning, Priscilla. And just as I was going to talk about woodland kingfishers, they'll only come a little bit later, around by over November. And these birds come from Senegal. They migrate some 6,000 kilometers into South Africa, and they're generally one of the last of the migrants to actually arrive in South Africa. And they normally here by the 20th, 21st of November, they've made their return. They're also quite often one of the first of the migrants to actually leave the area. And this year, I've actually seen a few of them that actually overstayed the time that they normally would have left. I think the latest I've actually seen one this year was in May still, and generally they leave by March. Our brown-hooded kingfisher has just flown down to the ground. Seems as if he's caught something, and he did, and just flew off. We've also got a giraffe that just started moving through the vegetation in the distance. I don't think we'll be able to see it from this angle. But while Dyke is making approach on the lions, we're going to see if we can relocate on this giraffe and get a better view of him.
Just managed to cycle around into the drainage line and see if we can have a better view of these animals again. And here we are. And it looks like they've just decided it's getting too warm for them to carry on with their journey. I think this is where these animals have decided to settle down for the day. So we're just going to sit here for a while and see what they do, unless they've just been walking a long way, maybe decided to take a rest here. Otherwise, this is where they might lie down for the day. But yeah, if they happen to settle down here for the day, I'm sure they're gonna be here this afternoon again. But this is beautiful viewing of them, which you can see. None of these animals look well fed, of which where they are, it's a good area, because mostly the antelopes there are small antelopes that feed off the leaves of these trees in this area here. If something walk past here because they look a bit hungry, they might get tempted to that, even though these animals are known as nocturnal hunters, and then they'll still try during the day and get successful. But I'd say the chances are very slim during the day to catch something, because they can easily be seen by the prey. Yeah, but once you notice, as you can see, they all lying down, but if you notice the two lionesses start getting up and look around, maybe there'll be something walking past. So it will be interesting to see what they're gonna do. We're just gonna sit here and watch these animals and see what they do, which is really beautiful. As you can see, the cubs have been playing around earlier on. Seems like they're burning off the energy. Even for them, the cubs are gonna lie down as well. Let's sit here and watch these beautiful lawns. And while we're here, we're gonna go over to Jonty and see what his lawns are doing there.
Thanks, Dyke. It seems like the lions have got the same memo. I was very hopeful earlier. It was fantastic spending some time with them while they were on the move, but they've reached the point where they have all settled down now. There's some that we're looking at here, and the others are a little bit further behind us. One or two still have their heads up, but they do look like they're starting to get sleepy. I just hope later on this afternoon they go south towards Djuma Dam. We always hope for that sort of buffalo-lion interaction. But when you watch them and you feel this nice, beautiful, warm sun, you start to yawn a little bit. I'm sorry you lost our signal for a while there. We had a massive technical fault. That Marcel came to help us, and Morgan and I had checked every sort of plug, connection, every single thing we could see, and Marcel got out of the car and said, "Oh, I can see the problem," and plugged one back in. So we get the Plonker Award for the day. Hammond, you'll see in most animal species there'll be more females than males. It's just the natural way, so that you need more females than males so that you can keep the species sort of breeding and continuing on for future generations. One of the lionesses is up behind us, but I think she's just moving into the shade. I'm hoping she might actually come and join these ones we're looking at, and we might get to see like a head rub, a little bit of affection, and then she'll flop down. Not really a head rub. So we're going to watch these lions for a couple more minutes, and then I think we're probably going to leave them and carry on and see what else we can have a look at this morning.
Welcome back on Bushwalk. We're currently watching 2 giraffes over here busy feeding. And what we're going to do is just do a little silent segment while watching them and listening to the different bird calls in the background. Enjoy.
Yeah, unbelievable. As you can see, they're settling down here, but you'll be amazed on what these animals can do, because we always generalize that hyenas are scavengers. This is not the rest of the pride. If the rest of the pride may be feeding off something really big, these animals will look up in the sky and watch vultures going down and they'll know there's something, so they'll quickly go over there and try see what the vultures are after. That's what these animals will do, because I've seen lions scavenging from leopards, from hyenas, from cheetah, from wild dogs, and then these animals might be trying to do what they're gonna find, and then yeah, so let's hope something's gonna happen around here, maybe watch them move again. But if nothing happens, it looks like this is where they're gonna be for the rest of the day. But I'm thinking maybe they just know that the pride is not far from where they are. So if they start to move this evening, they don't have to walk as far as they did last night. So let's hope to catch up with them in time this afternoon before they start to move, because if you get there while they're gone, you'll hardly know where they are. As you can see, we're having this beautiful view of them, but as soon as they move towards where they are further in, there's some very dense vegetation, and the grass is so tall that you can hardly follow up on their tracks unless they decide to go back and walk down the road. That's when you can pick up the tracks. So there's lots of animals that are going to move through this area, because to our left, earlier on, we drove past one small waterhole. This is about time most of the prey species will start walking to get some water, and then they're sitting right at the perfect spot of which this is like a huge traffic where most of the animals like impala, WildEarth, zebra, giraffe will be walking past here. So they might definitely get something. You never know. By the time we come back here this afternoon, they might be feeding off something. As I said, this is a right spot for them because they're sitting in the right place. Animals move up and down. There's a huge game trail or game path where animals walk up and down to get to water and back the same way. So let's hope something is going to walk past here before we leave these animals and see what they'll do. Otherwise, we're going to leave them and move down the road. If the pride is not too far from here or where they are, we might be lucky come across the pride not too far from this position where they are. So I'm hoping that the pride is not that far. Maybe if we're lucky, get to see the white ones this morning, including the two roast males. Yeah, lions being top of food chain, they have a good survival rate. It's just the fact that I'd say what makes them to decline is just the competition amongst themselves. Lion cubs being taken out by other male lions, as well as lion prides being big in Kruger. And these lions, if they're very large pride, they'll need something really big to feed them all. And they'll go mostly for buffalo, and buffaloes in Kruger, they're not TB free. They have the bovine tuberculosis, and sometimes they happen to take down a buffalo that's got the disease, and sometimes they get affected by that, and they'll also die of that. As you can see, that one is trying to suckle from the mother, but he's too big for that, so she might not let him do that for a long time. That shows these animals are really, really hungry, so they're just waiting and hoping that something, see, as I mentioned, that she might not let him do that because he's too old for that. It's just moving away from him, and she's going to find a spot and lie down a distance from where they are. Yeah, so I think we're just going to let these animals rest here in peace and try to catch up with them this afternoon before they start to move. Maybe get to see them take us to where the rest of the pride will be, and fingers crossed to that they might take us to the rest of the pride and get to see the white ones this afternoon. That's a beautiful female. Yes, I have both in a vehicle and also on foot. Like, you'll think these animals are tamed because we're sitting here and watching them and they lying there unconcerned to us, but they just born and grow up in front of this vehicle, so they start maybe associating these vehicles to another wild animal that's never done any harm to them. But if you happen to stand up and then they see you as an individual, that's when they charge the vehicle. The closest I've had was maybe a lion charged the vehicle and stopped about 2 meters from the vehicle, could even feel the sand hitting the side of the vehicle as you slam the brakes. And otherwise, yeah, got charged by lions on foot tracking females, and none of us that knew that there were lions with cubs in the area, and then all of a sudden we came across these 2 lionesses that had cubs, and they charged us so bad. But yeah, otherwise, if you know exactly what to do when you come across these animals on foot, then you're safe. That's why sometimes I don't need this rifle when I'm alone, but only time I need one is when I'm with people behind me, because you can tell people what to do and it happens very quick and everyone forgets and start panicking. So you never run away from these lions. You stand still, shout at the lions, and then they might stop halfway, walk away from you, or lie down a few meters in front of you. And then all you need to do is move slowly backwards until you're at the fair enough distance. That's when you can turn around and walk away from them.
While the African bush is desperate for rain, spring is certainly in the air. Fresh green leaves are sprouting, flowers are adding color to the landscape, and many animals are preparing for the birth of their young. At the moment, large concentrations of wildlife can be found at waterholes, which are the lifeline for the animals. But soon the rains will arrive, and the bush will transform overnight. Seasonal rivers will start to flow, the bush will be filled with baby animals, and it will become a time of plenty. Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer and join Ali and Jonty for a special Spring Has Sprung fireside chat on the 12th of September, straight after the Sunset Safari. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
It's day 1 of the annual South African Guide of the Year competition, and our first foot into this competition this morning is all about tracks and signs.
We're going to call you in one at a time. Just look at it, the information will be there.
Our 5 guides have been tasked by the judges at figuring out who is what is who, and where they go in the bush.
Either Franklin or guinea fowl, but because of the volume of other deposits in the area, we went with guinea fowl.
Detailing the surrounding that you need to look out for tracks, the details is very important.
So we just came back to where we originally found the lions. We just wanted to check that there wasn't a big male following them, but we can't see anything. And one of the vehicles has just reported that the herd of buffalo are at Djuma Dam or Gari Dam and are slowly mobile north. So we've been trying to figure out if it's worth waiting. And I just chatted to the guy now. He said the buffalo are starting to settle down, but it's quite a lot of, maybe later this afternoon there could be a bit of action. If those lions hear the buffalo, when buffalo move, you know, as a herd, they make quite a bit of noise. So hopefully the lions will actually hear that and maybe go towards them. We want to go try check towards another area. The Tabangui male leopard was found this morning. Unfortunately Wendy didn't have signal there, but sometimes Rusty picks up signal in areas where Wendy doesn't and vice versa. So we're going to try to do that and hopefully get to see Tabangui. But wow, hearing those stories from Dyke, whew, lions do certainly, they can make you quite feel very small and humble. There's actually Dyke once in a sighting where lions were hunting buffalo, and I just started guiding and I got so excited I drove my car into the thick of things, and Dyke came on the radio. He just shouted, he said, move the car, move the car, move the car. And I just started reversing, and literally as I reversed back, 3 or 4 buffalo bulls just came running. They would have hit the car side on. So he saved my bacon there. Now, he actually told me a story, it was years before, I think it was at Ngala, where a vehicle got too close and the buffaloes hit the side of the car. It actually rocked the car onto its side, which you can imagine is absolute chaos, because now you've got buffalo stampeding around, lions running all over the place. It was night time. Now you've got people freaking out. Not an ideal situation. There's some kudu on the left here. Are we going to get a clear... It's a young male kudu. The rest are a little bit further ahead of him. Oh, they're lucky. The lions didn't see them. Some of those lions did have a bit of blood on them. So I wonder, they must have caught something. And I was saying during the sighting that not big enough, because not all of them looked full. Just 1 or 2 looked like they'd had something to eat. While we watch this kudu browsing, you're going to head over to JP, who's chilling at a waterhole.
Welcome back on Bushwalk. We were just watching this female giraffe busy drinking. Unfortunately, she started moving off now. Maybe she's just going to try and see if she can get a better place to drink, as that section where she was trying to drink is quite muddy. Let's watch her and see what she gets up to. oops, almost slipped there. I just love the way that they actually will split their legs and bring down their heads. And as that they always come up, as what I really like is when that water gets sprayed off the tip of the mouth. If you can photograph at an early hours of the morning when we're still in the golden hour, or in that last hour of daylight, that's for me some of the most beautiful photographs that you can create. Good morning, Harold, and welcome to the show. With regards to your question, if it's been the driest, it's definitely been the driest since I've seen it in the last year and a half that I've been operating on this property. But hopefully we'll have a little bit of a relief and rain coming very soon. I'm always optimistic, and I hope that our rains will be early, just like last year. And by the last weekend of this September last year, we already had a lot of rain. My first 2 weeks of October, everything was already green. This is amazing to think of the distance that water has to travel down the throat to reach towards the stomach. So giraffe is also very effective in the management of water when it goes through their digestive system, and we find that they retain a lot of water, and that the pellet that they give out is a fairly hard pellet with very little moisture in it. And one of the reasons for that is to retain moisture, and moisture is very important for the production of saliva. And saliva is one of those things that assist with firstly the digestion and setting up the digestive process, but also assisting with breaking down the food. But we also find that they've got a very specialized saliva that actually deflects the thorns off the tip of a tongue when they are feeding. There's a group of scientists, they call themselves biomimicrysts, and they've actually studied that saliva as though they would like to reproduce it to create a lubricant which is water-based, which doesn't pollute the environment. It's amazing how nature has always got a number of different solutions which can be applied in a human environment. Well, we're going to move on, but in the meanwhile, we would just like to tell you a little bit about our fireside chat for tonight with Jonty and Ellie. And we're just going to put you through into a clip that's going to tell you a little bit more about the whole show.
While the African bush is desperate for rain, spring is certainly in the air. Fresh green leaves are sprouting, flowers are adding color to the landscape, and many animals are preparing for the birth of their young. At the moment, large concentrations of wildlife can be found at waterholes, which are the lifeline for the animals. But soon the rains will arrive, and the bush will transform overnight. Seasonal rivers will start to flow, the bush will be filled with baby animals, and it will become a time of plenty. Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer and join Ali and Jonty for a special Spring Has Sprung fireside chat on the 12th of September, straight after the Sunset Safari. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
Yeah, we just managed to circle around the direction where these animals have been moving to, so they just seems to have found a spot to lie down. So this is definitely where they're going to be for the rest of the day, unless something walk past here. See, if you look there, you can hardly see them because they blend in so well with the color of the grass. If you don't know they're there, you will hardly tell there's lions lying in that long grass. But if you look there, one of those cubs has got this little black behind the ears. So lucky they have that. The one that's getting up, you can see the black behind the ears there, as well as the black tip of the tail. So this is how they see each other when they're walking through long grass, more especially for these cubs to follow the adults. And the mother have that as well. So that's how they notice each other when they're walking through long grass, because they blend in so well with the color of the grass, more especially during this time of the year, of which if they're lying flat in this dry, long grass here, you can easily drive past or walk past them without knowing that they're lying there. I was hoping when I saw them move from down there, they were up to something. As you can see, the one female just went flat there. That shows this is definitely the destination that they found, that they're going to be here for the whole day. So let's hope they're going to be here this afternoon, and we'll get there, spend more time with them, maybe watch them start to move. Who knows, they might hunt as well. So it's interesting because this is just the one split. This is the question we always ask ourselves, like what's happening with this Birmingham pride, because they're scattered everywhere. And is the pride ever going to join together, or are they just splitting to start forming small little groups? Because there's few members here, and then sometimes you find 3 others by themselves, which is quite strange what they're doing. But yeah, I know this is how it started when the Birmingham breakaway formed, that breakaway pride. They started like this. You'll find a couple of lions here and then a couple of lions somewhere, and then at the end they ended up splitting in 2 different groups. It's going to be really interesting to see what these lions are going to do. Are they going to split in 2 or 3 different split? Because the Birmingham younger lioness as well, she tends to spend more time with her own cubs by herself. Once in a while they'll be together, but sometimes she goes off on her own. So these 2 females also together. Maybe just the one is injured, that's what's making them to lag behind from the rest of the pride. You never know, but it's going to be very interesting to know exactly the story, so that we can tell exactly what is happening really with this pride. So it would be nice to keep up with them and don't lose them as we did for the last couple of days, because this is first day I've seen them in 4 or 5 days. They had disappeared in one of these huge blocks here. As you can see, beautiful vegetation and dense and thick here. If we didn't find them earlier on with the tracks that we spotted on the road, we could hardly know where these animals are. So that's why tracks are very reliable. Once you pick up the tracks on the road, so you have a clue like where to start looking for these animals. But if no tracks, like it happened the last 2-3 days, there were no tracks, so we didn't know where to go and look. But this morning, just by luck, driving the roads that we've driven yesterday, so the minute we picked up those tracks, we knew they were on top of our vehicle tracks from last night. So that's when we started looking around, and lucky enough, these animals were not too far from where we saw those tracks, so we didn't take long to find them. So follow them all the way here. Like you wonder, how did we find them? In the beginning we picked up tracks, and like we find them and follow them all the way here. Otherwise, if we didn't, we couldn't have known that they were here, because the road is not far behind us, but you can easily drive 20 times up and down that road if you don't know these animals are here, you will hardly find them. We're just gonna sit here for a while and see if they decide to do something different, but you can see they're all just lying flat here. Otherwise, we're gonna leave them here and hope they're still here this afternoon.
Well, we've made our way to Djuma Dam, but not too much happening there. No signs for Shasha, and also not sure if the guys followed up there this morning. Unfortunately, the radio comms are not great, so can't really hear what they're saying. We went around room 11, which is apparently the last position where Jonty had him going into, and I don't know what it is about that room, but leopards just love it. Had, I think, Thandi, Tingana, Shasha going in there yesterday. I'm sure Kuchava at some stage has been there. I know Hosanna has been there. Perhaps it's Chitwa's coziest room. Maybe they should rename it the Ingwe room instead of room 11. Would have more of a ring to it. I'm sure it would come highly requested. But we're on Gauri May now. I'm not sure where we're gonna go from here. Just waiting for any signs of any animals that might be around in this area. There was a second pack of wild dogs running around Triple M South, so maybe we're gonna head in that general direction, see if perhaps the dogs come back up. It's not the same pack apparently that was in Simambili, so who knows, maybe we'll get lucky with some of them. It would be nice to have some wild dogs after a long absence. They're pretty cool animals to spend time with because they're fairly active. They tend to run around, but they're difficult to track because of their erratic movements. And once they start hunting, they just can go all over the place, all of them in different directions, and then they regroup and find themselves fun. Not so much though when they go to some very thick vegetation, then it becomes complicated if you've got a vehicle. But we'll check around Twin Dam, see what's happening there. And then if not, I think we're gonna carry on making our way westwards, see if we can come across anything there.
Welcome back on Bushwalk. At the moment we are looking at elephant tracks, and right over here we've got a fairly round track which is the front foot of an elephant. In terms of surface area, this is much larger than the hind foot, and here we've got the hind foot which is slightly longer and almost pear-shaped compared to the round part of the front foot. We've been looking at the direction of if this animal is moving, and as you can see, the front hind foot is actually tapering sharply to the front. And here we can see a small little bit of soil that's been flicked up as it was moving. I looked at all the different tracks of elephants in the area, and it seems if we had a nice big breeding herd that came through here. One of the smallest tracks was probably just around about 20 centimeters in size. So you can also make a deduction about what type of breeding structure or herd structure came through that area. So if there's a lot of variation in terms of different sizes of tracks, it generally indicates that it's a breeding herd. If it's more consistent in size, that's generally indicating that it's a bachelor herd. Large tracks on their own almost always are dominant bulls that are looking for females. There's a few interesting things that I just want to point out over here. These tiny little crack patterns that we can see over here that I've mentioned in the past, which is unique. They're just like fingerprints. And you can identify specific individuals by means of these little cracks. And that's also quite helpful for scientists when they are actually studying individuals in the area. The same rule accounts for rhinos. And I can remember a few years ago we had two different rhino cows with the same age calves on foot. The one had a very unique crack pattern with a 45-degree crack through the pad. And that was the one that we knew that we must stay away from. So if we did find the tracks of the one, we knew it was safe to approach or to go and view that animal. However, the other one had quite a mean reputation. Also, something else that I've noticed over here was the tracks of a steenbok. It's one of our smaller antelope species that we have in the area, and it actually registered over the other track, and they do this specifically to walk quietly when they are moving. And this little steenbok here is the same individual that I've seen at Leopard Dam drinking there a few times. And I've actually backtracked a few times on his track, and he actually walks over 1.5 to 1.8 kilometers to and from his territory. And they generally tend to stick to their territories and very seldom come and look for water. But it's possible because it's so dry at the moment that they actually come and drink. Most of the time they find more than a sufficient amount of moisture in their food and seldom but ever leave a territory, as what I mentioned. Also, with steenbokkies, I find them particularly interesting. When we do see them, they tend to be on their own. However, we find that they form monogamous pairs, and a male and female will stick together in that territory. They just tend to rest and feed separately. As we move off and go and see what else we can go and find, let's go and see what Doug and the lions are up to.
Yeah, we just left those lions. They seems to be lying flat now. I don't think they're gonna do more than what we saw them doing, walking and the cubs playing around. So we're just gonna move on, hoping to find the rest of the pride further down this road. As they look, they're possibly lying there knowing that the pride is not far from where they are, so it's not gonna take them too long to get to the rest of the pride if they happen to start to move this afternoon. And yeah, what a morning finding those lions after looking for them for the last couple of days, and they were nowhere to be found, and this morning paid out. And yeah, unfortunately it was not the whole pride together, but that was also really, really nice to see them, especially being so active, caught up with them at the right time of the morning while they were busy moving and playing around. So yeah, I'm hoping to find the rest of the pride down this road, and maybe, yeah, let's see if we can find maybe a leopard to top up on that, because yeah, also haven't seen a leopard for quite some times. It will be really nice to find a leopard. So while we're moving down, I'm gonna try get to one of the water holes again and see if there's anything drinking there, because it's getting warm now, but the wind is picking up as well. So if it stays like this wind might give these predators to like a good advantage to hunt for them. If they do it right, walk into the wind, I know that the prey species will hardly know that there's lions walking towards them. So that's what they're gonna do once the sun goes down. It's either they're gonna look for the pride while they're on the hunt. If they happen to catch up or with the pride, maybe catch something before they find the rest of the pride, there'll be no reason for them to get to the pride. But if they don't, I'm hoping tomorrow they'll be all together. So let's hope these lions join tonight and we'll get to see them all together tomorrow morning. Yeah. So let's carry on down this road and see what else we can find. Yeah, from the day they're born, they'll be away from the pride for about 6 to 8 weeks, but she'll join up with the pride, Jessica, every now and then, hunt together and get something to eat and go back and feed the cubs until they start eating meat, like 6, 8 weeks. That's when she'll bring them to introduce them to the pride. So that's how long they can keep them away from the pride, because they're still young and they're not moving properly. So if she needs to move them, what she's going to do, she'll pick them one by one. Maybe the older ones will just follow. That's what I saw with these lionesses when they were moving these cubs from one den to the next destination. She will pick up one in her mouth and then walk around or along the riverbed, and we followed her, and the others were just following because they were able to move. And she will pick up the youngest, and the rest will just follow her, and she'll take them to a different spot until they start eating meat. That's when she'll bring them to come and join the pride. Yeah, so let's carry on down this road and see what else we can find. It's very interesting though to watch them moving the cubs from one den to another, because they use those canines to suffocate the prey when they kill something. But how they know how much pressure to put on the neck of the cub when they picked it up without injuring the cub, it's incredible. It's not like when they're trying to kill something that they want to eat, so they pick up the cub gently and then move it from one place to another without injuring the cub, which is quite interesting how they know how much pressure to put on the young one. Beautiful area this. Yeah, definitely the females. There'll be one alpha female that would lead the pride, because the males are not always with the pride. They can keep a number of prides in that territory, but the females will have separate territories within the male's territory, and then you move from one pride to another. But definitely the females will run the pride, but there will be always a lead female. But these males will just join for a couple of days and they go somewhere else, as well as do patrol the territory. There's more protection of the cubs if the cubs are still small, because if another male comes into the territory or into the place and get hold of the cubs, those cubs are in danger. So the male lions will move around and they'll roar at night. A scent mark. This is like spraying urine on some of the bushes on the side of the road or in the middle of the bushes. So when other male lions comes in, they know this is other lions' territory. So we're just going to carry on down and see what else we can find down this road.
The Masai Mara in Kenya is an iconic wilderness filled with life. Its inspirational beauty has captivated our hearts on WildEarth for many years. While this season of the world's greatest migration has been missed, WildEarth is preparing a spectacular comeback in 2022. For the first time ever, WildEarth will be running expeditions to Kenya's Masai Mara throughout the 2022 migration season. Hosted by David Githu and Isaac Rotich, you could be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration with the world, live on WildEarth's daily safaris. If you're interested, then head over to our website to find out more.
I think sometimes you need just to listen. So it's a kind of taking out all that other spirit and bring back wilderness and healthy. Bushwalk and trek and sign. I'm sure I'm good at that. I spend most of my time on the ground since I was a young boy, so I think I'm good with that. Actually, I'm not much nervous of any category. Just take it as it is. Yeah. I'm not 100% sure on what the judges are looking at. So chances are 50-50 on my side. I'm not... Obviously, when you go for a competition, you say you win.
I've seen something I've never seen here before. Look at these cubs. One is crossing the river. It's being washed away, unfortunately, but I'm sure the mother is going to save her. Look at that. How beautiful. Look at that. One crossing, two to go.
Welcome back, everybody. Look at this. There's a big group of buffalo drinking at Djuma Dam. We're trying to estimate sort of how many, I don't know. Maybe between 250, 300, I'd say. It's hard to count all of them. So these are the ones that I was saying earlier. They're basically directly south of where we left the lions lying on the fire break. So depending which way these buffalo move, there could be some action later today, or this evening probably. Since we've had a heck of a morning. We did go check Tavangumi. Unfortunately there was no signal, but he's still there. He's got his impala kill in the tree. I'm trying to look with my binoculars. Often on these bigger groups of buffalo you'll see yellow-billed oxpeckers. I can hear red bill. Oh, there's a yellow-billed oxpecker. Which one are you? Are you there? There's a lot of calves with this herd. It is nice to see big herds. When 2016 was a very bad, sort of the culmination of a couple of years of no rain, and the buffalo herds in this area, they reckon dropped by 60%. So it's really cool to see them start, they're starting to bounce back. Oh, that's a great question. Morgan, you see, yeah, if you zoom in there, there's two next to each other. Go left a little bit. So the one that's in the center of the screen there now, that's a cow. So if you look at her horns, you see the middle part above her eyes. It's very sort of underdeveloped. And if you look at the male who's on her left, look at the difference. So that top part, that's called a boss. And on the males it's much more prominent, so the males will fight each other head on using that boss to sort of clatter into one another. That was quite cool that they had that little example of them standing right next to each other. Also, females will typically be a little bit smaller, the neck not as thick. And if you do see them sort of standing in the open from behind, the males do have quite prominent equipment at the back end there that you will see. But if you can just see their heads, the boss is a very good way to tell. Yeah, there's still more coming in here, hey? But this sound, I don't know if every now and again you might hear a buffalo bellow. You hear that like... That is like the sound of a dinner bell to lions. You often find lions will trail these big herds in the hope that they might find a straggler at the back. or some of these young ones would be a perfect meal. With that pride of lions, there's a lot of young males. That's where you could hope to see that age-old rivalry take place of a group of lions versus a big buffalo bull. It's obviously a tough challenge, but the reward is huge. Oh, there's a buffalo there with an injured foot. It's not looking so good. You see this, these two that are just out of the water on the right. Yeah, so pan right slowly. And then those first two that are on the bank, his right front foot looks, I don't know, yeah. I want to see if it walks. It's got a limp. It looks a little bit sore on the back there. You can see it's quite swollen. That would be the type of thing the lions would pick up on. And obviously if this whole herd of buffalo was to run or move, that one would lag behind quite quickly. And that's how sort of nature's way of, you know, the weak, sick, unfortunately the old get taken out. And the fittest, strongest, healthiest ones are the ones that stick around. I'd love to know, I'm assuming this would be this same herd that moves between Mala Mala and here. Sure, they are, let me just tell you exactly. So I've got this thing on my, so in a straight line, they're just over a kilometer, 1,025 meters. Obviously there'll be a slight undulation in there, so maybe a little bit more, but not far at all. It just depends which way these buffalo go after they drink. Normally they'll drink like this and then they might move off a little bit. They might actually settle down right here. And then move again later in the afternoon. See, that buffalo still hasn't moved, the one with the gammy leg. So I was saying, you know, I'm sure this will be the same big herd that moved through the other parts of the Sabi Sands a couple of weeks ago. In that video I was talking about the sighting with the lions versus the buffalo, where the whole herd came together and chased the lions off. I'm sure this will be the same. Oh yeah, I'd say that one he's limping quite. I mean, he's still moving on it. His condition doesn't look great, that must be said. His best chance is to just try to stay right in the middle of the herd. It's interesting though, with some of these herbivores, I've seen it with impala, when one gets a bad limp, the other impalas sort of move away from it, because it's almost like they know that strange behavior, you know, that strange gait will attract predators. You almost need like a drone to go up to know how many there are here. We're going to stay hanging out here with these buffalo. You're going to go catch up with JP on a bush walk. Yo, that one's got huge horns there.
Welcome back on Bushwalk. At the moment we are looking at some hyena feces, and then right over here it looks like this feces of one of the smaller mongoose species that's also been left behind. So generally hyena feces tends to be white in colour because of a large amount of bone that's inside it. We also quite often find that lion dung can be white in colour, and quite often guides confuse these two. But I personally have noted over the years that lion dung tends to have more hair inside it and is slightly thicker segmented compared to that of hyena. In this area around the dam, I've also noticed a large amount of hyena feces. So I assume that there must be quite a big population of hyena directly around the dam. And I've also noticed in the last few weeks that this specific group of hyenas in this area are actually very successful when it comes to hunting as well as scavenging. A few weeks ago we trailed a carcass and a blood spoor and came to the remains of a female impala. And last week we managed to also then find the remains of an impala ram which was killed by a leopard, and then the hyenas took the carcass away from it. And then today we've a buffalo calf that was killed, and where the remains has been hidden inside the mud so that they can consume it later on. It just shows you again how perceptions in terms of studies can give us a very warped idea of what animals are actually doing. As I personally believe these hyenas in this area are much more successful in hunting than that we think they are. And they also don't have a lot of direct competition with lion in this area, which is one of the other reasons why I think they're very successful and why we find them in such large numbers. Well, we're going to move on and go and see what else we can go and find. Good afternoon, morning, Mandy, and welcome to the show. Unfortunately, I don't work in the Sabi Sands, and I have never really worked in the Sabi Sands before, so I won't be able to answer you correctly on that answer. Maybe one of the Djuma guys can maybe assist you with the answer on that. Well, we're going to move off and go and see what else we can go and find. Let's go and see what the buffaloes are up to.
Good luck, JP. We are just still with this herd of buffalo. It does look like some are starting to settle, so I don't think they're going to move too far from the dam. That's often what they'll do. They'll do a lot of sort of grazing early in the morning, then come and drink some water, and you'll find they'll go lie down and ruminate, chew the cud, and then later on in the afternoon they might get mobile again. There, Morgan's found a male. Shame that one. That's. I'm just watching that poor one with the injured hoof. It doesn't really want to move too far. It's amazing. You see that one? They're all together, and then if you look on the far side of the dam, there's one old Norman no-mate just cruising off by himself. I wonder if there's a bit of mud there. Maybe he's going to go lie down in the mud. You do find these older bulls, Sometimes they'll be joined by younger ones as well, form these groups, little like bachelor groups that often trail these big herds. And those are the ones that all old hunters referred to as dugger boys. Those are the grumpy, cantankerous old bulls. And those are the ones that JP will certainly be on the lookout for while he's walking. They could definitely raise your heart rate a little bit. The red-billed oxpecker. I'm just going to move slowly. I don't want to rock the old camera. I was trying to find, because sometimes you get lucky and you'll see a yellow-billed and red-billed on the same buffalo, which always looks pretty cool. Well, there's two bathing next to each other. The one, there you go, you see the one on the right? It's a yellow-billed. Just having a little bath with his red-billed pals.
Bushwalk, we just found our first intra-Africa migrant raptor that has returned, and this is a Wahlberg's eagle. It's one of the smallest eagles that we have in Southern Africa, and these birds, they tend to migrate in fairly large flocks when they do come into Southern Africa, and then they disperse into groups, and they set up monogamous pairs which tend to stick around in the same area year after year. Some of the key features which you can use to identify this bird is it's firstly its small size, and then if you also notice on the head that it makes tiny little crest, which is one of the other features which you can use to identify it. When it's in flight, you can also normally notice that it will have fairly straight wings and a fairly straight tail resembling a cross. It also often does fan its tail, unfortunately, which confuses a lot of guides, and automatically they will go to the conclusion that it's a number of other species. So just to be aware, tails get fanned, they get used to change direction, to slow down, and to perform a number of other functions during flight. So one of the things that I do find quite interesting about Wahlberg's eagles is that they come forth in a wide range of different colors. They can be pale in coloration, they can be brown, light brown, right up to an incredibly dark brown color pattern that we can find. And sometimes they will have both brown and white coloration traits. So with the opposite, when it's incredibly white, we refer to it as leucistic forms, and sometimes we will also have a melanistic form, which is an incredibly dark form. Why they show such a wide range of different color morphs, I'm not 100% sure. But generally, if we find that the coloration pattern of a specific bird where there's a lot of variances in between species, is generally because of a double recessive gene from both parents. Our bird's just flown off, where we can see that fairly straight tail and the fairly straight wings. Quite often we also find that these guys get mobbed by fork-tailed drongos. I hope for him at least he's going to have a peaceful day. And they often come and perch up right close by to them, attack them, hit them on the head, or try and hit them from underneath the belly.
Yeah, we just located this very beautiful, impressive, large elephant bull. As you can see, is grazing or browsing there. If you look carefully, you might notice there's a green bush, which is a guarri bush there, and then knobthorn, which is the one without leaves. So the very interesting thing is not, you'll think he might feed on that green one, but he's definitely not. So he's decided he's gonna feed off that knobthorn, the one without leaves. What he's doing there, just breaking some of the branches and strip the bark off. It's just the fact that the guarri bushes, as you can see, he's surrounded by those green ones. You think there will be a lot for him to eat, but definitely not, because those guarri bushes, they sort of evergreen bushes, and those leaves are quite leathery, so he would rather prefer to break the branches on that knobthorn tree that he's feeding off now and strip the bark, because that will be more nutrients on that than the guarri bushes and this dry grass here. So as you can see, most of the trees have lost their leaves. That's what these animals will do. Walk along, break the branches and feed off the bark of these trees. Every now and then they'll knock over a tree to try and uproot that to get the roots. As you can see, what he's doing there is using his trunk as well as his tusk to try and snap the branch off that knobthorn. There we go. So this is what happens towards the end. Like, you come across a herd of elephants and look around carefully, you may notice one or two elephants with one tusk shorter than the other. So they have what I call the slave and the master tusk, of which the shorter one is the slave one, because they use those tusks for peeling the bark off the trees, snapping the branches, as well as you saw what he did now, as well as digging. So until that gets worn down or breaks off. This is more or less same like us, being right or left-handed. Besides, we don't lose our hand. You see how he's using his foot there. He's trying to possibly flatten the thorns from that branch, because that knobthorn is an acacia and it's got thorns. What he was doing was rubbing the ground, the branch against the ground, sort of like flattening the thorns. He's doing that again. So he will pick that up and throw it in his mouth. See how agile that he's using the foot and the trunk all together to try and work on that branch. As soon as those thorns are gone flat parallel to that branch, you might pick that up and put it in his mouth and roll it through his mouth, peel the bark off and drop the rest away. So it seems like a very nice tree, of which he's not moving anywhere of that. As you saw, he's using his trunk and stand on that branch and pull one piece off with his tusks. That's what these animals will do. I think this guy is possibly 35, 40 years. Yeah, otherwise these animals will live about 65, 70 years, and they have these 6 sets of molar teeth, of which they just keep weighing off until they get their last set of teeth when they're 45, 50 years. This is when they tend to eat more grass than anything else, because it's interesting though, they all know they Yes, I have. You'll look at that animal and think you can outrun it because it's so big, but these animals can cover a huge distance at a very short period of time, like 30 kilometers per hour. That's fast for such a big animal. I've watched a big bull like this chasing a young male that was trying to mate with a female that was on hit in that one particular head. The speed they can cover, once they cover full speed behind them, is like a train that's traveling so fast. Yeah, I've seen that happen before. So a bull like this may be traveling together with other bulls about the same age, feeding and browsing, looking for the same thing, might be heading in the direction of the water, which they will end up there towards the late of the morning and drink water, same thing, graze in the direction of another waterhole, because they need so much to eat, like 250 to 300 kilograms of food, because these animals have a very poor digestion system, of which, of all what they eat, only 40% get digested and the rest just pass through their stomachs. That's why they can like defecate maybe 100 kilograms of dung per day, which is a lot. So we're just gonna sit here and watch this animal grazing and browsing peacefully. We might be able to hear if there's other elephant bulls traveling together with him, or he's just at the tail end of the herd, because that's what these bulls will do sometimes. But he's not showing us any sign of being in mast, so they'll move from one herd to another. And yeah, so we're just gonna sit here and watch him and see what he does.
I have a degree in environmental planning and development. My passion is outdoor classrooms. We are not only grooming the environmentalists of tomorrow, but tomorrow's leaders as well. My long-term goal is for the people of South Africa to learn how to live sustainably, to be able to look after themselves and the environment. So I hope that through environmental education, we are able to get that message to the future generation of South Africa, so that they start now and can continue that good practice in the future. Environmental education is critical so that people can live sustainably in the future. That is my long-term goal.
And I turned to Shaw and I saw that she had this panicked look on her face. Either she was afraid that something had happened, or she was afraid that she was going to miss out on something. But instead of her missing out on those lions, we drove up next to them and I switched off the car so that she could hear what was going on. Now, these lions had killed a kudu, and she could hear these two cubs, both 8 months old at the time, busy pushing and shoving each other out the way to get to the best parts of the meat. And the mom was lying just to the side in the shade. Now, I'd known that before losing her sight, Sean probably knew what a lion looked like. But I really wanted her to know what this lion looked like. So for the first time in my guiding career, I started to describe to someone what a lion looked like. And I found that, I started to notice things in that lion that I'd never seen before.
You are cheeky. That was a brave decision. Amber Eyes is... That is so magic. That was absolutely wonderful. Amber Eyes just gave that cub an enormous hug.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth. Day.
We are still with the buffalo. We've just repositioned. Sorry, I forgot I took my hat off, so you might not have heard me. Look at that oxpecker. Busy cleaning itself. It's hanging out on the side of that buffalo. It's amazing. We saw that one earlier. You see how the buffalo just tensing its skin there. The oxpeckers do have fairly sharp little claws, and when they're hanging on the side like that, I don't know how great it does feel. I do love the way they just hop all over the side of these animals. So it does look like the herd is settling down right here just north of the dam. And they're just doing a bit of ruminating, re-chewing the grass that they ate earlier. And they'll often actually just settle for a bulk part of the day now. And then later this afternoon, that's when they'll get moving. And I think we will definitely try and come back here and see which way they go. There's obviously huge potential at the moment. But the lions, like I was saying earlier, they are a kilometre away. So a lot could happen between now and then, but there's quite good potential. They're close enough that they might become aware of each other. Clara, we used to see at Ngala, I mean, it's so hard when they get so big, but we estimated at like over 1,000, maybe 1,000 or 1,500. In Botswana, I've seen what we estimated was over 2,000 buffalo. It was just like a sea of black. And when you do have those interactions with lion prides in those big herds, even this herd we're looking at now, when they run, literally the ground shakes. It's really, really impressive. What about you, Morgan?
Never managed to count all of them.
Morgan is unbelievable. He says he's never managed to count all of them, so he doesn't want to give an answer. 111.
I think 12.
Shame. It is one of the downsides to chewing cud. It's very hard to look intelligent. Look at this cow here in front of us, just so her face. Yeah. If you could put a voiceover to that, what would you put? This toffee's delicious. They're doing some synchronized chewing over there. It does look quite cozy to lie down there with this morning sun on them. But we are going to be leaving them shortly to go get some breakfast. And actually watch the rugby game that is on today. But thank you very much for joining us at our various locations this morning. We've all loved having you on board, all your questions and comments. Please join us this afternoon where hopefully we'll pick up the story with these buffalo and lions. We'll see you then.